think we should do a little Green Ranger shout out too, bro.
I'm
No,
in.
then Omar's gonna
Let me see it.
freaking
I don't.
cry
I don't see the
on
whole
stream,
shirt, bro.
What? No,
I didn't see the whole shirt.
I'll freaking
Oh,
cry,
is that
bro.
that's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Omar's gonna
Off
cry
it.
on stream. We can't talk about that, bro.
I would cry, bro.
Get a little
Yeah,
emotional. It's okay.
bendito.
Actually, two people, two celebrities that died recently. This guy and then
Kevin Conroy?
yeah. Oh my god, bro.
Yeah. It's the dude, the childhood, bro.
Jesus,
Slowly
that's
dying.
my freaking childhood, bro. You kidding me?
No, I hear you, bro. I felt it.
I felt that one big time.
Kevin Conroy sucks, man, because he like I think he knew he was sick, but
Yeah.
he didn't talk much about that though. Sucks.
Yeah, that was like almost like what's his face? What's his name?
What?
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah,
he
like
was sick and never talked
obviously
about
he
it. Yeah.
knew he was sick, but he just never talked about it.
Right. Right.
Freaking A, bro.
Like I've actually told people, like, yeah, he was sick. He passed away, like cancer, or whatever.
Mhm.
And people didn't know. They were like, how did he do Black Panther? How did he do all these movies? Like he was still working pretty constantly and
was.
still doing a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Because he had it from the first. Yeah, he had it from like
hmm
around Civil War already, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because
But I don't
said he
know.
was
I don't know
battling
if he
for
had.
years.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. Maybe he had like a Roman Reigns thing. You know how Roman had leukemia, and he go into
Oh,
remission,
like
and then he could still do work. So I don't know if maybe it was the same thing.
that's
But
a good question.
that's
I
something
don't
I
know.
would like to know. But
His was
Mhm.
was his colon cancer or something like that? I think it was colon.
His was
cancer.
like the worst. Yeah, it
And
was.
colon cancer, from what I hear, is super fast and super aggressive if you don't catch it early.
yeah,
Yeah, but I know he had it for a while because he said he was battling for years. So I don't know if he was like I said, Michael said, with remission or
yeah.
because dude, when he was doing Black Panther, he already had it and no one knew.
Right.
Not only that, he was in
That's a-
freaking good shape. Like he
And he was
didn't
great
look
shape
right,
overall.
right,
great
right,
shape,
right.
yeah.
So
He
he
could
did.
have,
He
maybe
did the best he could.
It happens.
But
sometimes.
I'm wondering. I don't
Yeah.
know if even like what's his name, Coogler or Keegler.
Right.
What was that? Yeah, the Ryan Coogler. I don't know if
The what?
he has come out on the record to say,
Oh,
like,
Ryan.
well,
Yeah, Googler.
if he if they had to take breaks or anything like that, like if they had a particular way that they were shooting the film or not. But I mean,
when he was tired.
no one really,
resting.
no one's really like come up and said anything yet. And I get it out of respect for the guy, but
Yeah,
I'm
they
still
probably- they
curious to
probably
know
won't,
how
to be honest.
that was
Sure.
going on. So,
Mhm.
but we'll see.
This sucks, man. Just freaking
Yeah.
terrible. And Conroy too. I mean, Conroy did look. He did look like people are saying that he changed a lot in the last year. Like he like.
Mhm.
I mean, he was a skinny guy, but he looked extra skinny.
Conroy, yeah.
So he didn't look like healthy. He didn't look healthy. Yeah. So people kind of knew like maybe he was going through something, but he didn't say anything. So like no one knows.
Yeah, that's the whole
He
thing.
didn't
Like
make it public.
people aren't really like talking about what they're going through, which is fine. I respect the privacy of people, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like what happened, like what really was going on with you guys, and
Yeah.
But see,
it's sad. It's really sad.
they were sick.
Right.
Jason David Frank, what the heck?
Jason David
Like,
Frank. What
Omar could
sucks
probably
is
tell his insight on that.
No, what sucks? No, because
No,
I'm not gonna freaking cap because I told you, Mike, that I've been like kind of out of it for a little bit, from his personal life. I don't talk to him as much anymore,
Yeah, you guys
but
aren't
he
yeah.
like, yeah. But now that I'm looking back at his pictures from like the last couple of months, so people were saying that he looked off, like he didn't look as good as he used to. And I guess what I mean, like, I think we talked about it, like we saw a picture of him. He like a freaking goofball like months ago. Remember, he looked like freaking weird, his haircut and everything, and he was super super skinny. I don't know if you
Yeah, and I
remember
thought maybe it was because of his maybe he was going to a role or something like that, because I know he had some projects that was on the works. Yeah,
that. Exactly. We didn't make much of it,
No,
but now that you know what's going on, dude, this guy for the past year, like he stopped working out. He wasn't eating at all, Jay. So like this guy was super depressed this past year because what happened with his wife and his stepdaughter.
What happened? I don't know what happened. What happened?
His wife left him, filed for divorce.
Oh.
and they were going through this. I mean, it's documented, bro. They're going through this nasty, those nasty divorces you don't want to go
Yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, he's claiming all this stuff that the way she's abusive to him, and she was claiming that he was abusive to her. I mean, it was going nowhere to the point like she said that he had other women in his life, like adultery and all that. And this case just got worse little by little. I honestly, that's the last I heard. I got away from it. I'm like, bro, divorces, it's not easy. They're gonna, how it is. So whatever. But I know for a fact that they were dealing with that. This is in the summer, so
Right.
it's a couple of months ago. And his stepdaughter killed herself this past year.
Oh,
So yeah. So and she was in her early 20s, bro. Her name was like Jaylene or something. I think it was Jaylene. Yeah. So she killed herself.
That was this year.
stepdaughter.
Yeah, stepdaughter. Yeah, it was about 6 months ago or so.
Wow. I
So
didn't know it was that.
I think that I don't think that helped with the divorce because that happened, and right after that they started the whole divorce thing. Because I mean, it's dude.
So he was going through a lot of personal.
He was going through a
issues.
lot,
Okay.
but the thing is, bro, but this is the guy that always it was all about positivity. So he kept it to himself.
Yeah.
That you don't do that, bro, and everybody's like crying now and going crazy. Like I sent this video to Alex and Mike earlier, freaking Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Ranger. It's hard to watch this video. Like she's
Right.
just bawling.
Oh, I
She
didn't
can't
see
stop
that
crying.
one. I saw the one that you sent of the Red Ranger.
Oh yeah, that one was more. Yeah, I'll forward to you. She's just crying because she's like, dude, like you could have like we're all here for you, and guys, if obviously
They
if
all
you need,
they all had no clue about.
nobody had a clue. So like, I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, you have to. I mean, I get it, bro. You're going through a divorce, but if you go like, oh yeah, me, I'm going through divorce. I'll figure it out, whatever. But you portraying that you're happier than you really are. You're not gonna probe every day like, hey, you need help, you're not gonna do that either.
I mean, that's also the ugly side
know.
of social media. Like you could portray that toxic, that not even toxic, but just positivity in general, and
Right.
you'd never know what's happening behind the scenes. And I'm pretty sure he's one of those guys that just
Yeah.
wanted to like really dive into his work and not really think about everything that's going on.
Yes.
You find your distractions and stuff like that. So he was always doing cons, and like he was booked up for cons like every month, bro. Like
He
every
was
month.
yeah. No, he was doing that. He kept doing cons. He kept doing it. His personal health, you can tell it took a toll. And that's dude, I get it. I went through that. You stop eating. You're going through so much stress. I get it. But overall, he still loved his fans. I mean, he never canceled a con, and that's true.
No,
That is
never,
very true.
never.
And I guess that was his outlet to get out from all this depression.
I think so.
And maybe, yeah. Maybe, and you know what's sad is that that message I think I sent you guys, the first one on Facebook, that the trainer, I think he left a message to the trainer. And the trainer said that I wish I could have picked up the phone. I could have helped you.
Yeah, that's what I did
Yeah,
see
dude,
that you posted that. Yeah.
Nuts. Yeah.
Dude, imagine like how you feel like
Yeah.
whatever he left, man, whatever he left in that message.
Yeah, you have
He
that
could have
guilt.
like, dude, no, like yeah, because I could like, let me see you now or whatever.
But it's sad because it's not that guy's fault,
I-
like it's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault, man. I mean, we all
No.
take responsibility for our own lives. I mean, I told you he left his own daughter now, like without a father. So and they were so close. Every time I see his daughter, I remember like Michelle and I, how we do everything together and stuff like that. That's kind of the relationship that he has with her name is Jenna. And she was even into the whole Power Ranger thing now. She was joined the show. Bro, she was doing all this crap. She does martial arts and all that. So it's just crazy how I guess that's not enough. I mean, I don't know. Remember when you go into depression, bro, that's a mental that kills you worse than cancer, by the way. That's the number one killer in USA.
No, it really
Depression,
does.
man.
It really does. I mean, I go through my own like bouts sometimes, like especially the past couple years,
Mhm.
like just kind of like on and off. Not to the point where I'm like thinking those crazy thoughts, but you just kind of like crawl into a hole or just not get out of bed for a couple weeks, and just don't want
Sure.
to talk to anybody. You kind of go through your stuff, and I think it happens to everybody, but I think it's important for like everybody to kind of like reach out to whoever they can.
Talk to
whether it's a
someone,
fan-
man. I mean,
talk to anybody,
just
yeah.
don't let that shit eat you from the inside, bro, because it would literally destroy you. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
I think
You
that's
know,
the saddest part about this whole situation. Is like every time we keep losing someone due to like them taking their own lives, is like it's just kind of hard because it's like they're obviously, like Michael said, they're in social media, they're in the spotlight, so a lot of people know about them. A lot of people are probably willing to help, but they just feel this sense of like there's no help for them, and it's crazy to think like someone in that level of like fame and like love and people adore this guy to not
sure.
even feel like you have an outlet. Then just think about people that are just never heard or never talked to or thought about, So I think that it's a sad situation, and hopefully people can keep learning from these things. I don't know. I feel like it's not really registering with a lot. It's still like an issue.
Well, people are, yeah, of sure. You know,
Um,
they're
People are
processing it.
gone too soon,
Sure.
and it sucks. Yeah.
You know what's sad too? I was hearing in a podcast, and a person left a message talking about the JDF, and he said that he was very thankful for to JDF because he met him at a con like a while back, and he was going through suicidal tendencies as well. Like he was like depressed. And keep in mind that Jason David Frank, bro, he was a guy like I said, like he was a beacon of like positivity. Like this guy was all about be positive, enjoy life, and you know how he was. He was bigger than life, like bigger than anything. And he took that type of conversation very serious, and he spoke to the guy, and he gave him like tons of advice, like about life and all this stuff, and you can reach out, whatever whatever he said. And he says he thanks him because after that, he started changing his life. And long story short, like obviously the guy's fine, and look where we're at now. And so people like him, you never expect he's going through the same thing that others have gone through, where people he has helped before in the past. So who's like I said earlier, like yeah, he helps people, but who's helping him?
Who's helping him?
Nobody
Yeah.
is. Nobody is. Like he
Well, I
has no
think that
hero. Well, that I
that
know
goes for
of. I
everybody.
mean,
Yeah, that goes for everybody. I think like you have a lot of people that are out there, whether it's social media or just in general, like friends. You have a lot of friends that you think are fine, like living the perfect life. But I think even the most happy-go-lucky person still needs an outlet to have. You deal with so many people. This is what I've gone through, where you deal with so many, and not dealing with, but you take on so many people's like. Problems, or they look for you
hmm
for advice, like, hey, can I talk to you, and they dump so much on you that you don't have anywhere to really do that yourself. And I feel like that's something that he probably didn't have. I don't think I mean, I don't know, I don't want to make assumptions, but
sure,
did he have time to see a therapist? Did he have time to talk to somebody? I think it's important for people to really make that time. And of course, like we said earlier, he's probably looking for distractions from the divorce and from his kid
everything.
committing
Sure,
suicide, like losing that. And it's a lot. And of course you try to distract yourself. There's nothing wrong with distractions, but you also have to find that help, whether it's, and I think even the suicide prevention line has like a text line too, where you don't have to
yeah.
talk to somebody on the phone. You could just text and be like, hey, I just need someone to talk to right now. That's it. And I think it reminded me of what's a wrestler that just passed away? Daphne, that also committed suicide
Oh,
too.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
like
right. Yes,
very
yes, of
recently. Yeah, yeah.
course.
And I think
From
she was on
TNA.
Facebook
Yeah.
Live and or on Instagram Live or something like that. Like still at the same time, just pleading, not even pleading for help, but people were watching her make her like final goodbyes basically, and people were like blowing up her phone and calling her and texting her and stuff like that. But
So sad, bro.
how many of those people were really there for her on the daily? You never know what a person's going through. So
No,
I think it's okay. It's acceptable for you to be like, hey, just it's me, just checking up on you, seeing how you're doing. And sometimes these celebrities and people out there don't have that person to really check on them like that. They're surrounded by agents. They're surrounded by people who sometimes leeches that just want the
right.
money and stuff like that, and not someone that's seriously looking for their well-being. So it's a sad situation, I think, overall. So condolences
Ah,
for sure.
man. It is, man, and it's heartbreaking. Like it's just one of when I saw it, but I was just like, first I'm thinking like, the first thought in my mind, I was like, did he just kill himself? And I know I shouldn't say that, but I think I told you this guy was healthy. You don't just die like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
like
He took
that.
good care of
So the
himself. Yeah.
first red flag, I'm like, what did he do to himself? And then I thought maybe it was a Paul Walker accident, something like that we don't know yet,
Mm.
and then we'll find out, and it's gonna suck too. But I'm like, crap. Okay, I get it, but I mean, this guy was 49 years old, bro. That's super young.
And yeah,
Like he
like you
still
said,
had.
he was in good shape. He was taking care of himself, so it's not anything.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
think health related.
overall,
You
I
know,
mean, he
yeah,
still
overall,
looked. Yes, he still looked good, even though he was going to depression. Which
physically,
I mean, I
physically
get
he
it. Yeah,
looked
I
good. Yeah,
get it. He's still, dude. A lot of people would love to have that, that shape. Like he looked
yeah,
good. So
physically he looked good, but mentally you just never know, man. So that's this
you
is one of those
know,
situations where you just don't know. So
it just opens up your eyes, like who else out there is suffering, and you never know. It
yeah,
sucks,
Well,
man.
I
It's for real.
think right now, at least, in the state of the world we're in, especially coming out of COVID and what we're dealing with now, like there's so many people that are still like reeling and dealing with that sort of like
The aftermath.
isolation and being
Sure.
away from people for so long that it's just like it's inevitable that the state of the world is going to be in a more difficult place. So
A dire state. Yeah.
I think people now more than ever, like you said, with the suicide hotline, maybe we post this in the podcast link, so people know the number and text it or call
no,
someone,
for sure.
and don't feel like. I think the roughest part is like because I think Omar sent that his friend was the one that was reporting that he was gone like first before anybody, and
It
he was
was so
saying
early,
how he
right?
felt bad that he didn't answer the phone and wasn't there to be the first person to try to save him in a way. And it sucks because it's he's gonna feel like that sense of regret, and it's really not his fault just because he didn't
Yeah,
answer. But people need to know that like there's other resources other than just someone that you're calling that you may know personally. Maybe they're just sleeping or they're just in the middle of something, and 5 minutes shouldn't be the difference between the end of your life. So
It sucks, bro.
that's all it
it's tough.
takes.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to get into deep into this, but bro, this is the guy that. You know what? I forget it. I'm not gonna say it.
What were you gonna say?
What? Just say it. What?
No, you
This is
can't
not.
start. You can't start and
Yeah,
then
you can
No,
stop. I mean, I know what you're gonna say because I think you told us about it in
I,
a sense.
you think so, Alex? What do you think I'm gonna
Yeah.
say?
Well, you're talking about how this guy has obviously gone on record as a Christian, a man of faith, a man that
Bingo.
like
Bingo.
truly was, going to church. And after he lost his own brother, because I was reading up about when that happened for him.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
for him to then now go and take his own life, that's not obviously something that you would think of when you're talking about a Christian or someone of faith. Like you should know.
It's not what I've been taught.
But I think that that's something that even goes back into like the episodes that we had before when we talked about the whole Hillsong documentary. That there's so many like pressures and things like even in the Christian community and world, and I know it's something that I've dealt with in the past. Being like a pastor's son and having this sense of
Sure.
like you have responsibility, you have to follow the rules, you have to do these things to a T. Harold's brought it up even in his situation, where like he was going to church for a period and then they didn't let him volunteer or do things because they wanted him to do a certain thing to be a
Right.
part of it. So it's one of those things like again, I know where you're saying you don't want to go into it and bash Christianity or
No,
that
I
religion,
mean,
but I
bro,
think
it's the
it's
whole. I mean, dude, it's just his vibe, man. That's what he taught everybody. Dude, remember, I met him a couple of times, and
yeah.
we spoke like privately, like in a group of like a bunch of like small group, and he spoke about Jesus and Jesus never tap and all that. I'm just thinking like, bro, that's why that was your teaching, to all of us. And
Well,
what
I think
happened at
it's a
last? What
lesson.
happened there,
I
man?
think
Last
it's a
minute, what
lesson to
happened?
all of us that no one's immune to the realities of life. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It
no
does.
matter
Like
what,
even
yeah,
if
religion, whatever. Yeah,
even if
Yes.
even if you have a seeking a higher power, and this is something that we even talk about at church that I attend, is like, because I think in a sense of like, it's something that they don't want to talk about in church, is like mental health, and they don't think it's a real thing. There's a lot of a huge stigma behind it, and I've seen it myself personally, but it is a reality. There are still people that struggle with it, and I think sometimes that's something I brought up before, is like the church has to be more understanding of like everyone and where they are and in life, and try to be a little bit more accepting of that, and open in the conversation, to
Mm-hmm.
just talk about
Mm-hmm.
it. Like it's a real thing, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So
True. No, no, yeah, for sure,
um,
for sure. I get it.
I think probably if I'm going off of what I've seen in the past, I never attended his church or understood like what his teachings were, but I think that that's something that like is lacking now. Like there has to be more resources in the church to talk about mental health and how
This
this
type
is
of
a
thing.
real thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I
All right,
add
man.
to that?
Yeah.
Putting the church aside, Omar, because you're talking about him being a Christian, and um, based on what he did, you're kind of shocked at as to him being a Christian and obviously committing suicide. But you got to remember, man, even Christians are subjected to, even from what they believe. They believe in God, they believe in Satan, they believe in
Sure.
heaven, hell. Um, Biblically, it says that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he comes through like a thief in the night. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to destroy. And that goes for Christians too. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you are immune to that aspect. If you believe in that, right?
Sure.
Like if you believe in Satan, just like you would believe in God, you know, just because we're Christian doesn't mean that we're immune from, evil or Satan's susceptibility to us. You know, Suicide is something that I think is a temptation. It's an easy out. If you're depressed and you want it to end, you know, like I believe in Satan, and I believe that he will tempt you with that out, saying it's so easy for
Yep.
you to just end it all right now, end the pain and the suffering. Whatever he's going through, that's a temptation for him, right? Just like, me, like
Stop the pain.
I
Yeah.
have temptations. I'm a Christian, but I have temptations too that I have to fight every day. So that's something that we have to, putting the church aside. I know that the church, I agree with you, Alex. They some churches should probably have some more resources, or maybe even talk about it more, for sure. But let's not forget that we're humans, we're carnal, and we we're susceptible to any type of
No one's immune.
um
Exactly.
yeah, no one's
Yeah.
immune,
Yeah.
like you said. you know
I think it's just important though, like to add on Alex's point, like a lot of these churches, even though we say like, hey, people are here to help, people are here to to be here for you and whatnot. I think there are some places that maybe recognize mental health a little bit more than others, as far as church resources are concerned, where they have maybe a mental health counselor or a therapist or whatnot that can talk about things. What I've seen and what I've heard, even if you go through like marriage counseling or dating counseling, things like that, a lot of it, they don't really like to address the main problem, the main issue. A lot of times, um, and I'm not saying all churches do this, but a lot of times they do like to throw out scriptures at you and tell you, this, make sure you read this in the Bible. This says this, it says this, it says this. Make sure you don't do this. Divorce is terrible and it's against, the word of God and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people forget, like you said, Jay, like we are humans and we're not all robots. And there are situations that happen in our lives that maybe we do need some additional assistance for. I know thoughts and prayers, they go a long way for people. And when we go through tragedies and when we go through loss and stuff like that, a lot of people like to say that as well. But we need to also recognize, like, as people, as humans, we need to put the pride aside. We need to put that, hey, I can do this on my own. I can do this through just the power of positivity. And sometimes it's okay to have help. And I think that's a stigma that, especially in churches and in Hispanic churches, Latin churches, or just Latin people in general, there's that stigma of
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, don't talk to anybody. You got this. You're okay with this. You're okay. You don't need to see a therapy. Like, therapy is what is for nothing. You don't need to do that. And I think that's a changing culture, especially that today we need to recognize, like, hey, it's okay to go see a therapist, even if it's someone in your church. I know one of our mutual friends, me and Alex have, when he lost his wife, he was seeing a therapist that was part of the church, but not necessarily going to the church for that therapy, but having that perspective of like, okay, we're going to give you this perspective
Yeah.
of what God says in his word about loss and what he says about this. But also in reality, this is something that you're dealing with as a human being, as a husband that just lost his wife. Like, there's obvious aspects that need to go into that, not just, throwing scripture at him, but saying, hey, this is real. This is what happens. And, you have to really have that support group for you, not just, you know, just go through whatever you're going through with this pride. And I think a lot of people don't have pride, or a lot of people have pride and they don't realize it. They just think they're strong enough to do it on their own. And someone like a Jason David Frank,
Mm-hmm.
going back to him, like, who says that he was strong enough to do it on his own? He probably wasn't, and that's something that you have
You
to
keep
look deep
saying
into
that
that.
word
Yeah.
pride, and
Mhm.
you know that word is very powerful because number one, it's a seven deadly sin, right? Being pride, having pride. Okay, because there's being prideful. When we think of pride, I think is like I don't. When you think of pride, do you really think there's anything wrong with being prideful? No, I don't. I mean, I think about it.
Well, if you think about positivity, there's a such thing as a toxic, like being toxically positive. So I think that also
Sure,
goes
sure,
hand in hand
sure.
with
Yeah,
pride.
yeah,
There's a toxic pride that you can have, not just, like, I could be
yeah.
prideful, or I could have pride in, like, mi cultura, mi isla, Puerto Rico, like waving the
Exactly.
flags and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yeah, which
No.
is
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is fine.
But then
But
there's that
there's also
selfish
toxic
pride, or that
positive. Yeah.
ignorant, or that arrogant pride, or yeah, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, or the pride that you're referring to with Jason David Frank, where it's like
No, I just think in general,
I'm
like,
too
just
prideful
people
to
like,
talk to somebody or
yeah,
something.
like, I'm strong enough to handle this
You
just
know.
by,
Yeah.
distracting
Exactly. And
myself,
we're
and
not.
I could get through this. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Especially when it comes to depression. I mean, depression is so dangerous, and it's manifesting itself. It's taking over like the world. I mean, if you look at the rates of depression are just rising dramatically, especially in the younger generations. Like if you look at statistics now, I mean, I don't even remember the numbers, but I mean, it's just astronomical, the percentage of depression in the younger generation now, how it's just taking over, and how they're getting medicated, and all these antidepressants, these anxiolytic medications, Xanax,
Well, I
Ativan, all
also
these
have a
crazy.
a question about that, and I'll pose this to, maybe Harold, because Harold just joined the chat. Hello, Harold. How are you doing today?
Cucuy.
What's
De la
up?
Hey,
mañana.
so let me ask you this. What Jay was saying, the rates of depression or whatnot are going up, but
Mhm.
um, for me,
And
and I'll get
anxiety.
your feedback. Yeah, and I'll get your feedback on it. I think maybe this is something that has been around for decades and maybe centuries. I just don't think it was talked about as much. I don't think there's resources that are out there. More awareness, like mental health awareness, is now a thing. Um, I feel that maybe that also has to contribute to thing. And of course, the world in general right now is just kind of like weird, economical, and we put so much emphasis on the material things in the world, and not really focus on what really matters. Like family time, or um, quality time with people that you love and that you care about, instead of we're maybe just focused on the Instagram and how many likes I get and how many
Mm.
people retweet my tweet and stuff like that. And I think that's where a lot of people focus their energy at, which is probably what Jay is talking about with the younger generation, where they are focused on how many likes I get,
Big
like
time.
depending on how many likes
Yeah.
and how many
Yes.
friends and followers I have.
Oof, yeah.
That really is what matters, and that's where my happiness comes from. So do you think that maybe has something to do with it, or the changing times? Like I said, maybe there's more awareness now than there was in the 1940s or 50s than before.
Well, I think that I've actually listened to a couple podcasts of psychologists talking about um, social media, and especially with young kids, um, like young girls and young boys. And there's a very, very high percentage of young girls actually committing suicide, like 12, 13, because of social media. I was listening to this podcast, and this psychologist was talking about it, that girls are more susceptible to bullying, because he was explaining that now bullying is able, you're able to be bullied 24/7 because of social media, right? So especially girls who are more susceptible to it because of the way I look, or a boy likes me or doesn't like me. If there's another girl that doesn't like her or whatever, she can always get on their social media. And girls are pretty vicious, I think. He was explaining, more than boys, because boys get into a fight, they punch each other in the face, and then done, we're good. Or
And I
we
go to sleep.
even
That's it.
can
Yeah.
get into, yeah, you can get into a
Like
fight.
Omar and Jay.
Yeah. Oh my
But you can get
God.
into a
Like,
fight, punch somebody in the face, and then all of a sudden you're best friends for
Well, that's
whatever reason.
different
That's
now
just
too, dude.
somehow, that's
like
just how
Omar and
boys
Jay.
are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like Omar and Jay.
But
Um,
it's different though, dude, because when they're being bullied through social media, it's not like it was back in the day when we were in high school, where all your stuff was done face to face. You got a
exactly.
problem?
Yeah,
We settle it with our
exactly.
fists, right then and there.
Hmm.
Now it's on social media,
That's what I'm saying.
and it's, I think the verbal attacks are even
Worse.
more nasty.
Yeah, they're nastier.
They're worse because
because
they feel like there's no repercussions.
exactly,
Like,
because
they're
they're
not in front of my
behind
face.
they're behind a
Yes.
keyboard. But like I
Yes.
said,
Keyboard
the
warriors.
bullying is extended to a 24-hour a day type situation. So statistically speaking, young girls are more susceptible to that, because again,
Sure.
in magazines it's always about how pretty you are, how you look, how you this, that, and the other. And and what he was explaining was that young girls are susceptible to that, and the bullying is, they take it more to heart, and they've been seeing a really sharp rise in the suicide of young girls. Boys, not really. And he explained, because of the fact that boys, will just get into a fight, work it out, and then be done with it. So, which made me think, to be honest, and kind of made me a little bit scared, that whenever I have kids, like, I don't want them to be on social media. I think that's a big, I think that's a big contributor to any situation that we have when it comes to that. Because, to be honest with you, like you guys were saying, back in the day, there was no anxiety. Now, maybe there was, but people weren't talking about it, and that's
It
why we
wasn't
don't
as
know.
prevalent. It wasn't as
But
prevalent.
it's not something that a lot of people that I understand went through. Like, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. I had anxiety at one point, and I remember asking my dad, "Hey, this is I just decided I need to talk to somebody about it because it's affecting me." And I'm like, "What the hell?" So I asked my dad. I told my dad, I was like, "Hey, Dad, this is happening." And my dad, not, you know, he grew up in a different time where he was just like, hey, just buck up, just be a man and get past it. And that was his response to it. And I was like, thanks, Dad. You know what I mean? But that's just the way it is because that's how he grew up. He doesn't even understand what that means, you know. So I don't like fault him for it, but it was just like, yeah, okay, I get it. That's just your generation is like that or whatever. But I think social media has a big thing to that. I think it plays a big part in, especially with young kids and how insecure they could get and be early on in their life. I think, like Jay was saying, and I don't know if you guys would agree with this. I was going to say concur, but um, when we were growing up, I didn't have that mentality. We didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. So I just, I think I was more into like my brain was into basketball, video games, and hanging out with friends. That was it. There was nothing else. There was no social media or anything like that. So I don't know. I didn't grow up in that with social media. I don't know how it affects kids now. I mean, those who have kids probably know best. But to be honest with you, I think when I have kids, I think getting them a tablet or having them on social media is going to be down the line for me, specifically with my kids, just because I want them to be a kid. I don't want them to be on a tablet or, with their face stuck into, something. I want them to have the childhood that I did, which was going to play basketball, riding my bike to a comic book store, doing all this other stuff that kids just do as, normally. So I don't
I
know.
think that I think it's a double edged sword because for me, at least from what I've experienced, there's always a stigma online about keeping your kids offline and doing and things like that, which I get.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I have Luna on like social media or she's like fully like
She has her own Instagram.
DMing people and she's
She's a
going
TikTok
out there or
star.
whatever. But I think it's like I think there's a level of like still understanding that this is something like that we've talked about before that they're going to experience whether or not we want them to or not. Like social media right now is too big that it's going to continue to be something years down the line. Um, and it's just like internet, like there's more accessible things. Like when we were kids, you couldn't just boot up Disney Plus, like we had to actually put in a VHS tape and watch a, freaking Disney movie or whatever we were doing at the time. So I think it's just a matter of trying to sort of like, well, let me start again because Stephanie's coughing. I think it's just a, I think it's just a situation of more like monitoring like what they're actually exposed to. That makes sense. Like I like the way that Omar has approached it, and it's kind of something that I've implemented into my arsenal in the sense like where if there's a new movie on Disney or something that like Luna might be interested in seeing because she just sees like the poster, right? Or she sees like the advertisement as soon as you turn on Disney Plus. Um, I'll watch it before I have her see it just so I can know if there's things that maybe I don't want her to see. And it's not in a sense of like um it's more just like because she's very much getting her own personality and she's starting to copy and mimic things. So like I just don't want her to see like someone saying like you're stupid or shut up or like getting these bad habits that I feel like are then going to then eventually
Mhm.
rear its head when she goes into like the classroom at school or if she's hanging out with her grandma or doing something, like so for me I think it's kind of just like that riding that line of understanding that there's going to be a sense of like she's going to know social media eventually, she's going to know how to access things on a phone or a tablet. Like Luna right now, if I give her a tablet, she knows how to get to areas, she knows how to get to YouTube or certain things, which I don't have YouTube on her tablet, but I have like Disney Plus and I have only a kids profile loaded on there, so she can't go on and watch like some of the adult things, you know what I'm saying? Like so I can kind of monitor and see. And sometimes even when she's sitting next to me on the phone, if she pulls up YouTube, if I see her watching something I don't want her to watch, then I'll just take my phone back and be like, no, we're not doing that, you know. So I think it's just kind of monitoring it, if that makes sense.
Sort of
That would
to
be, yeah.
sort of kind of like just turn it back around to JDF and all that, and the bullying part of it. Um, Omar with the, because Alex had a good points about the, monitoring the social media thing, and he kind of took take pages out of what you did with your daughters and stuff like that. I know that they know of Power Rangers because they've watched it and you've watched it with them. Um,
Yeah.
do they know, like, I mean, how are they reacting to that? I have two questions. So one is to go back to what Harold and Alex were talking about, like the bullying, the online thing. Do you think your daughters, do they go through that stuff, now in school, or whether it's online or whatnot? How do you control that? And then two, what were their reactions as far as like, did they know like how he died, or did they
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
into,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so so what was their reaction to that whole thing? And you as a dad, like what do you say to your kids if they had some type of reaction to it? What, like how do you explain that to them?
You mean regarding suicide?
Yeah, like that whole thing.
Well, obviously Michelle, when she found out, like, first of all, I mean, what's our reaction? You just can't believe it. You no, like, stop. She did understand, like, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, Jason, the Green Ranger, blah blah blah, and she just kept asking questions like, but why, and all this stuff, and I'm like, this was in the morning when I found out, so I had no idea what was going on either. But I'm like, yeah, baby. And then, we talked about it a little bit. We didn't get too deep, but I just told her, hey, we all have issues sometimes, and she understands. She's capable of understanding that people. You need to, what we just talked about. You need to obviously be open to people and have someone you can talk to, some kind of pillow you can confide in. And obviously, he didn't. And actually, it's funny you say that because she got really upset, and I have it on text message uh, because I'm not gonna say who by name here, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There's this certain guy that we know in a group that used to do like films with us back in the days. It- uh, his name rhymes with Blaze.
Blaze Pizza.
Yeah, there you go. He does film, all right, and he does a lot of movies and whatever. I see him every now and then. And my daughter got really upset at him because, like, really upset. She goes, honestly, Dad, you should block his number. And I'm like, why? And she's like, you don't do that because he's when we found out that he died, he tried to completely just change the conversation about him, like this guy. And like, oh man, like, I'm so mad. This guy died. You don't understand. We're about to film this, film that. We had a couple
Yeah, yeah.
a couple projects. What I'm talking about. We have a couple
Mm.
projects lined up, and I don't, like, he completely just diverted from the conversation. Like, hey, it's not about what you had. It's about this guy paying, just pay respect. It's not the time for that. And second of all, Michelle got really upset because this guy, dude, he's just notorious for lying. He lies about everything. So I know he's lying. So long story short, we're in a group chat. Nobody responded to that message. Nobody said, "Oh my God, we didn't know. Oh, you didn't tell us. Oh wow," like, like, nobody cared. People just moved on. We started talking about JDF. No response to that message, that block. So Michelle found it very disrespectful. She goes, right now it's not the time for that. I can't believe this guy, can have one day without talking about himself. This is not the time for that. We need to respect, GDF. And yeah, she took it very serious. So that's that question to you. And the other one you said about bullying.
Yeah, like how
Was it
with your daughters and stuff like that. How Harold brought up
what
social
Harold was
media
talking
and stuff like
about?
that, and Alex. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Michelle's been more open to that because she's the one that likes to, to meet a lot of people online, and she has friends online. She's been more about that. She really hasn't had that type of bullying, but they have gone, especially Michelle. She's gone through a lot of bullying in her school. How do At least I'm happy, and I think I talked to Alex about this as well years ago. That's why I like to keep that open channel with my daughters, and we talk about everything when we get home. She tells me everything that happened. She comes in one day screaming happy and jumping for joy. The next day, dude, she comes in and she's literally crying, like in tears. And I'm like, what happened today? And she'll tell me like everything. And it's me to give her that same speech. It's the same speech you're gonna give your kids for a while, bro. But le entra, but sometimes just the next day it just leaves. They don't really they don't sponge it in. So I tell her, I tell her, I already gave this conversation. Like we talked about this like a month ago, 2 months ago. You're repeating the same mistakes because they're in that awkward stage, Mike, that where she wants to have friends, like a lot of friends. She wants to be loved and accepted and all that, and I get it. But I also tell her, listen, you're in middle school. Middle school, I remember they were the worst
I don't
years.
remember. I don't even remember. I don't think I keep in touch with anybody
I
from middle school,
well,
to be
well,
honest.
well. There you go. Exactly. Look what you said. I don't keep in touch with anybody. The only guy that I keep in touch with from middle school, it's you, and you didn't
It's
go to
you.
my school.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And you didn't,
Exactly.
and you didn't even go to my school.
Yeah.
It was because of what happened, the church and all that. So I keep telling her, you cannot stress over this. Middle school literally is a nothing burger. You need to be, relaxed. And Michelle, she gets bullied. Dude, I kind of feel bad because I think, dude, Michelle, she's a bright kid, and I think she knows way too much for her own good. And she's the type of girl that you talk to in middle school, and all the girls make fun of her because she knows everything about Marvel. She knows everything about Star Wars. She's a freaking.
Well,
She's
that's
gonna
how it
be.
is in general. Just even like older women or older girls, if they're online and they're a fan of Marvel and they know stuff, then other girls get jealous. Like it's
Yeah.
something that from middle
There
school,
you
high
go.
school,
It's
whatever,
it
it will
right.
continue
And I
on for the
told
rest of
her,
your life.
and
Yeah.
Mike, and you can tell her when you see her. That girl, I told her, you keep the way you are. When you're in high school later on, more mature and stuff like that, you're gonna see how many guys they're gonna love you. Because I'm telling you, you love you do all about video games. She knows about Call of Duty, and she just knows about so much like media, like pop culture.
Yeah, yeah.
My other daughter, no. My other daughter's more like Sandra.
She's the
She's
girly
more
girl.
into she's the girly girl. She doesn't have
Yeah.
that issue, so she's popular and all that, of course. But it's because she's a girl.
Mm.
Michelle, of course, is a girl, but the way she thinks, bro, it's very like advanced for everybody, and no one understands her. The other day, they had a conversation in school in front of everybody. Oh, when you grow up, what's your goal? What's your career? I don't know. Where Michelle says, I want to be a director. I did not plant that seed. That just came from her, and everybody started making fun of her in
Liar.
class.
You want to do Orlando Connection again?
And she goes, what's so funny? And the reason why they're making fun of her is because she was a girl. They don't see a girl being a director, bro. It's that mentality. They're immature. They don't know what they're talking about. And I keep teaching her. So that's the kind of bullying that happens, man, overall. But what Harold was saying, yeah, I mean, and I agree with Alex. Alex said it right. It's a double-edged sword because kids nowadays, Harold, like the world is so exposed to what's out there now, and if they don't find out, but here with me, they're gonna find out with their friends, and they're gonna keep it between them because I'll tell you right now, there's I'm not gonna say names or anything, but there's this channel that my daughter showed me online that the name of the channel is called Nobody Can Find Out or something like that. I changed it, by the way. It's not that. I don't want to get no intro, but
Oh, it's called Give Mike a Mic.
it has it give exactly give Mike a mic or J Vision Part 2.
J Vision, yeah.
And literally, guys, I'm not kidding, guys. These are 12 years old. 12 years old, mind you, 12. Loco, they're showing their boobies, they're doing this like that, looking all pretty, doing those, those kiss me faces. It's disgusting. And I'm like, what am I watching here, guys? To my daughters. And like, Dad, this is this channel, and they have all this bunch of girls from the school in that channel. It's one of their friends' hands was like, bro, dude, no parents
fool.
knows about that.
No,
Bien
man. That's so
asqueroso.
scary.
Noche.
That's really scary.
Pero para que tú veas, bro, this is what the kids are dealing nowadays. And if you didn't tell me anything, I would never know.
It's not even
It's
half
true.
an
You
inch.
know what movie you need to watch? Not to get down another rabbit hole, but you need to go watch Eighth Grade, Omar. I don't know if you've seen that movie yet.
Oh, the
No,
Bo
what
Burnham.
is that?
He did it.
Bo Burnham. It's like a comedy,
No.
but
Okay.
it's like this girl who's like literally in eighth grade, and they like explain like those things, like the bullying. They explain like how
Oh,
the social
sweet.
media works, and it's like super
Eye-opening.
informative,
It's like
but
eye-opening.
very eye opening, exactly, because it's a reality. And
Eighth
I
grade.
mean, the thing is, like, I think in the future, like she may not get it all now, but in the future, like as long as you keep instilling that, I think that's the most important thing. Is just reminding her like these times will change, and you know eventually nerds rule the world no matter what anyway. So
And
all that matters.
I tell her all the time, man. You're so. I mean, guys can be lucky just to have you like in a group because you're like so cool. You know about all this stuff, and she has all the singers and all that. But now in the middle school girls just don't remember. They don't get that. They don't even, dude. They don't even know what Marvel is. They don't know what No Way Home is. Like they Spider-Man, yeah, but that's the extent to it. They don't
They
understand
probably
the
know the
whole
name of Kim
lore.
Kardashian's makeup line, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I mean, well, yeah.
Can I ask a question really quick? Especially to the ones
The
in the group
daddies.
that have kids. What do you
Jay,
guys
oh,
think
God.
about?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like your kids going out and actually, for like a better word, playing outside or not being stuck inside like with their face in a screen? What do you guys think
Good.
about that?
Well, good question. And Alex, I'll take the first because I was actually going to say that. I mentioned the double-edged sword, and that I give you one side, and the other side, it's what I was going to tell you. It's that honestly, Harold, I'm afraid for my girls to have my childhood. I don't. Maybe you'll know when you're a parent. But nowadays we're living in such hard times that I don't trust people out there. Like I wouldn't trust my girls to go out there with their bicycles like we used to. And I used to like disappear for hours and come back at night from every day during the weekdays. I mean,
Me
dude, we
too.
were boys. I played basketball with my friends outside. I did whatever. I rode bikes, whatever. Dude, we were kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
I I cannot the way the world is, and we hear so much the news how this kid got kidnapped or this kid got raped and pedophile, this and that. I hear so much crap, and I get it because we're so exposed now because the whole world is connected now, unlike back in the '90s. But maybe we were ignorant. I don't know. Maybe different times. I don't know. Me, I'm telling you, this is just me. You ask me, Alex can tell you, Jay will tell you. Me, I don't. I feel comfortable with my girls being with me. Like I love showing them, and if they want to do anything outside, like ride a bike and stuff like that, which they do, by the way, they do. I go with them. I know it's kind of crazy, it's weird, but they love it. They love me going out with them, whatever. Or instead of going out with the girls from school to watch a movie, like the other day, the girls went to see Smile. My daughter's like, I saw that a month ago with my parents. Like they're so like they know everything because dude, we do everything together as a family. And I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm maybe overprotective about them. Oh, Alex can tell you right now. You can piggyback from there, Alex. How you feel about that?
No, I think honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat, and I think Jay's probably gonna agree because I heard him kind of shake his head about the bike situation specifically. Like I know for me, like Luna's still so young, but like any moment I have with her as far as taking her outside, like I am watching everything around me, all my surroundings. Like if I take her to play with other kids, the same thing. I'm like kind of like observing, like
Just hyper aware
I'm
of
giving
everything.
her a sense of like that opportunity to play with other kids because it's gonna happen when she goes to school on her own or things like that. But I think like me and Stephanie have had this conversation about like when she's older and like if she ever wants to stay the night at someone's house, like that's a whole nother thing. Like we're like, if anything,
Jay's like nodding. Nope.
it's probably better like if the people want to do that, like maybe they just stay over here because we know we're trustworthy in that sense. Like, and if they don't want to come over, then by all means, that's up to them. Like your friend can come over, stay the night. That's it. But I'm not like having her stay over somewhere else is like I
It's
remember the
foreign. It's
first
weird.
time I ever did it, even with just her staying with her grandma or with like her, her Abu, which is Stephanie's mom. It's like the same thing. Like you still feel that sense of like letting go. Like it's okay now because obviously, that's family and all that. But still, like you just never know. Like the world's crazy right now, and I don't think it's ever gonna get any better. But I would not let her walk outside alone or just ride a bike. Like I see kids in my neighborhood, Harold, will come in and there's like a little kid that's like probably like 3 or 4 and he's just riding around on a bike all day. And
Oh,
it's
I
like
know.
6 o'clock at
I seen it
night.
too, and I seen it too
And right
before.
now it's like daylight saving, so it gets dark even faster.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I'm watching Black Phone in these movies and kids are getting kidnapped. What makes you think I'm gonna let
Dude,
like I'm like, nah, bro. Like this is too much.
I feel
So
like
So
at the same time it's a bit sad that's the
It's sad,
situation.
bro, but it's true. This
Yeah.
is the generation we live in. It's
well,
just
I
it
have
is what it
two
is.
I have two things with that because one, I think it's important to obviously like. I think you guys have a good point of like, hey, if they want to come over, then we'll let them come over, but we're not gonna send you over there. But I mean, I was a kid going to this fucking random guy's house from church, watching Mortal Kombat
Oh
and Power
no.
Rangers and all that
Hey,
stuff. You know,
I
like
was not random. Calm down.
you were random. That's what I'm saying. You
I
had
was I was indoctrinating you. Calm down.
you did indoctrinate me a lot.
There's a
So,
difference between
Calm down.
like the fact that you like our parents had a relationship with Omar's
see,
parents.
but so what? But what's stopping
Yeah.
that from happening though? Like, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
hey, Dad, like, I'm going to this random girl's house.
Okay,
Like, obviously,
so like
if you know the
if
parents,
someone's
then
in my
cool.
if someone's in my neighborhood and I know the person and they're like a good friend of mine and I actually like go to their
But what
house
if
and I
someone's
talk
at
to
your
them.
church?
No, I mean that's the thing is like it would have to be somebody that I have a real relationship with that I hang out with on a normal basis. And even right now, like that's not even in the books for me. Like I would not leave Luna with
No,
someone
because she's
else
only 2 years
now.
old right now.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't expect her to go to someone's house.
No,
I
I
think
think
there's
But
a,
I
I
mean,
think
if you have a
there's an age range where at the same time you educate your kids. Like if I were to say, my 13-year-old now, I would probably feel more comfortable with her going not just to someone's house. Like if she came up to me and said, "Dad, I want to stay over at my friend's house" or whatever.
you got to meet the
Um,
parents and
yeah, I
all
mean, I
that,
wouldn't even
have a
have to. I
relationship
wouldn't
with
even
them.
have to meet the
I'd be
parents.
like,
Like my daughter knows not to ask me anyway because I'm going to
don't
say
ask,
no.
don't tell.
Yeah, but it's more of the just the generation that we live in now, and
No fun, Jay.
I know that.
Daddy, you're no fun.
Man.
You suck.
Hey,
She
Dad, can
knows,
I?
man. It's like
Can I?
don't even no.
No. Daddy said
You,
no.
you just
no.
you don't know who's in the house. You don't. You don't. Even if you know who's going to be in the house, let's say you got some parents in there,
Bro.
dude. I'm not going to put my daughter. You hear too many stories about older guys, sexually, molesting young girls, and you don't want to put them in those situations. You know what I
I think
mean?
I would be more
I
scared of
refuse
like
to do it.
somebody like J Vision coming over the house that's our same age and coming to freaking flirt with the
No.
girls.
I mean, that's not.
I mean, that could happen.
Yes, that could
too.
happen, but
Yeah.
that's not that's not the only fear that I have.
But
It's not
do you
the
think
only
that
fear.
that's something that is natural? Like, do you think our parents had that fear, or do you think it's because we are exposed to so much? Like Omar said earlier, that we're connected so much and we
Because the
hear
world is
things
so
so
connected.
much. We have the news and
Yeah,
this
like
and
all the
that.
news.
But I
Yeah.
would go to
Sure,
Omar's house and be like,
it's
"Oh, no
scared.
one's home."
It's
Like
it's
his parents weren't
obviously
even home. It was just me and him.
no, dude. I know. I was in that boat too. I was in that
Like
boat
that's
too. I
scarier
know
than
exactly
anybody
what
else.
you're
That's
talking
scarier
about.
than having freaking people at the
Yes,
house.
I
I'm like,
know,
yo, like
dude.
Ghostface could come
It's
into
a
the door and murder us both. Nobody would know. Nobody would know.
It's a totally different, bro. There's this comedian. There's this comedian named Sebastian Maniscalco. Have you guys heard of this guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maniscalco,
Maniscalco.
and he does this bit. It's called, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious. It's about how it was back in the day
Mm-hmm.
when you would go
And
to
answer the
someone's
door.
house
Yeah.
and you would and back in the day, bro, you wouldn't even lock your door, and you wouldn't call anyone before you go to the house. You just
Show up.
knock on the door, show up, and then the person's like, "Hey, what
are you doing
Come on
around
in, come in
I was
here,
just
come
going
on."
around the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it doesn't matter.
I mean, you watch
back in
Stranger
the day,
Things, and that's how it is. Like the Michael
Yes,
Wheeler and all his friends
they
are
just
in the
show
basement all
up.
the time. They're just there.
In the
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. Now, bro, then when he does the flip side, he's like, nowadays, someone knocks on the door, you're diving on the floor,
Get down.
you're telling everybody to shut up because
Yeah.
it's like,
And,
hey,
and it's Amazon.
it's legit though. I even
Amazon
realize I
package.
do the same thing.
Yeah,
it's like if
it's
I don't
yeah.
know, if I wasn't
You don't know who's
expecting
there.
somebody, it's like, what? Who's knocking on my freaking door? You know?
You disappear
There's
faster
no
than
evidence
Omar
in the
does
past,
on
bro.
on our camera. We'd be like this,
What?
like Omar. Remember the last podcast?
Yeah, but
Like
it's
someone's
a
at the door,
different
Omar's gone.
generation, bro. It's sad. I completely agree with you, Harold. It's sad. I wish that I could. I wish I could tell you because I have a little dog. My girls walk the dog,
Mm.
do you think that I don't go outside and
Of
watch them
course.
walk the dog?
Of
Dude,
course, yeah.
I do. And
Yeah.
it's so sad that I have to run
Bro.
that I have to be outside and keep an eye
And
on
watch
them,
them. Yeah, I know.
thinking
And back in the
someone
day,
could
shit, we
literally
were like,
grab them
whatever.
at any moment
Depends on the
while
dog.
they're
If I have a
walking
pit
the
bull, if I have like John
No,
Wick
I have a
dog,
freaking
I'm gonna let
mini
them go by
poodle.
themselves. I don't
I have a
care.
mini
Oh,
freaking
yeah,
poodle.
yeah.
Okay,
Un
that ain't
pado.
that's good. An ankle biter.
What you need to start
No.
doing is feeding it raw
No.
meat. And you know what I mean?
So yeah,
You need to have a John Wick dog, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, hey guys, really quick, I'm gonna tell you a story that my daughter actually showed me thanks to TikTok this morning.
No,
I don't know if you heard of the story, but hey, you learned some cool stuff, crazy stuff, not cool stuff. But in this scenario, there's this video that went viral. I don't know if you heard of this. Probably Alex might have heard of it. I don't know, but there's this woman that just filed for obviously divorce, and long story short, her husband now he's in jail because she found out. I guess they have she has a stepdaughter. Well, it'll be because he's the stepdad, so I'm guessing that's a stepdaughter, right? So it's her real daughter. They had this light switch on the bathroom like the last 2 months, where I guess they have like two light switches, right? And one of them I guess wasn't really working, but the other one was on. So it's like my daughter was saying, like, Dad, if my light bulb goes off, whatever, honestly I probably wouldn't care. I keep forgetting to tell you because I still have light from a different fixture. That happens all the time, right? So it turns out the mom one day went to her bathroom, which she never really does, checks her stuff. And when she noticed that the light bulb in the wall, like why why it wasn't working, bro, there's a camera inside that's recording the shower the whole time. You haven't heard that story? There's Jay, bro. You see her legit reaction when she grabs like the camera, like in shock. She was speechless. That video went viral. The guy's in jail, and so it turns out for the God knows since when he's been recording, watching the stepdaughter, and she was around 15 now, 14. So I mean that's irrelevant, but
So that's
I'm
in
just
your
saying
own house, though, right? That's a stepdad.
that's in
that
your house.
got
But imagine,
married.
imagine it's someone else's house, bro.
there you go.
Yeah,
Imagine
dude.
your kid going to another house and you don't know who's recording, you don't know who's watching. People are freaking
Nope.
weird, bro.
That's
Nope.
Look, even
Well-
Alex left, bro. He got pissed.
Alex left. So
It's like
here's two things. We'll finish this up here. Two
so
things.
screwed up. Bro.
First of all, you mentioned TikTok. We do have a TikTok channel, so make sure you go follow Give Mike a Mic, reload it. on
Always
TikTok.
selling. I like it,
Cheap
Mike.
plug.
Always
Cheap
selling.
plug, yeah.
All right, cheap plug.
And then second thing, Harold, I will have my kids come over to play with your kids anytime. It looks fine.
Perfect.
I trust you. I don't think there's gonna be a camera in the
See,
shower.
but that's
so it's
different
fine.
though. That's what we're saying.
It's so weird,
Unfortunate.
man.
If you know the person,
Jay, I
that's
don't
different.
know about you though. I don't know. I feel like you. I
I
don't know. You're gonna record people with your potato camera. I'm not
Ideal.
With your potato.
not feeling that.
Oh man, yeah. By the time I have
Um,
my kids, Jay's kids will be freaking out of college,
40.
married. Yeah.
They'd be
Bro, you're knocking somebody up next year. I don't want to hear about it. Anyways,
that's true.
we'll wrap this whole thing up because this was not our
Yeah.
intention for this episode.
This
but
went completely off the rails. This is from JDF. By
that was
the
from
way.
Jay.
This-
Jay saying,
hey,
"Hey, we should mention JDF." And then
Shout
that's
out.
it.
Shout out to JDF.
Shout out to
Bro,
JDF.
Straight up.
I'm sorry, I had
JDF.
to do it. We had to do
Yeah,
it.
no, and I'm happy you did. This was not an episode. I think it turned to one.
Just a
I
whole
think,
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a whole
So,
episode. Yeah,
Well, we're just talking.
I didn't hit
Hey,
record at all.
This was good, and I like these episodes,
No,
man. These
yeah.
get deep. They get good. I like
I
them.
mean, we talked about mental health too, and like parenting and other things.
We
so
went everywhere.
And people like it.
JDF, rest in power, man. Rest in
Yeah.
power.
Rest in
Rest
power,
in
yeah.
green power.
And to end it as well, like Alex said, we're gonna put it in the description. There'll be a link when number to like the suicide prevention hotline if you need any help
Absolutely.
at all.
Yeah.
Definitely look at that. And yeah,
I was gonna say if you are going through anxiety or any depression or anything like that,
smoke some weed.
well, I mean,
Ay,
it works for
oh,
some
bro,
people,
What kind of
but
stupidity?
but I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest it. Definitely look for someone to help you, because if you do not nip that in the bud quickly, it could spiral out of control, and
Yes.
that's when you have the
Yep.
problem. So a lot of people, what happens with a lot of people is you have a lot of pride and you say, hey, I can fix this on my own. But guess what? You can't. And you have to know when you need help at that point and seek it. Really, honestly, at the end of the day, it's better for you, your health. So yeah, just seek help if you need it, and don't take too long. That's all I can say.
It takes a village, guys. Just remember that.
Yeah, definitely speak with somebody if you have to. Yeah.